We here at Mayhem Media
understand the trials and tribulations of life.
No matter how hard life can get.
Suicide is never the answer.
There's more assistance available today than ever before.
If you or a loved one are suffering from suicidal thoughts, please don't try and take it on alone.
Call or text 988 if you live in the United States.
Or if you're in Great Britain, call 116123 or text 85258.
The world is a better place with you in it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Mayhemtainment. I am your host, JD, and I have a very special episode for you tonight. The wife of a wrestler, and that is who is to my left, Mrs JMo, and of course her husband, JMo. And thanks for coming on Mayhem Media. I very much appreciate you guys taking the time to come on our small show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. It's a pleasure. Being around for this as long as we have, it's great to get out.
Yeah, I'm grateful to have a platform to give, any especially in indie wrestlers a platform to get their name out there and to get noticed by more people. So I appreciate that. Now, the topic of this one, while both are on the screen, the main topic is going to be about the wife of a professional wrestler or strong girlfriend. So let's talk about that, Mrs. JMo. What is that like to be the wife of a professional wrestler, specifically an indie wrestler? Because JMo, you're an indie wrestler, right?
That is correct. I'm an agent at OVW.
At OVW, excellent.
I've been wrestling for 21 years. Been around a long time. But the sacrifices and the things that she's put up with through the years when it comes to my wrestling, she's definitely earned every bit of the title of being my wife. That's for sure. So,
well, let's talk about some of those issues and some of those sacrifices that you have made. What is it like to be the wife of a wrestler?
So it's definitely not for the faint of heart or the weak. It takes a strong person. There are definitely times where I go, I only see him like an hour or two out of 3 days, or holidays and birthdays, different things like that. But honestly, I wouldn't trade it for the world, because we get to do it together. And wrestling actually is how we met. So wrestling gave me my husband. I love it. I love supporting him and all my wrestling kids. And, it's chaotic, but it's a chaos that I couldn't live without.
I will circle back to you saying about your kids being wrestlers in just a minute. Did you ever get the chance to go on the road? Do you travel? Did you ever get to travel with him when he was on the road, or were you an at-home person?
All the time. We travel more now than we did when we first got together, but I love wrestling road trips. Wrestling road trips are absolutely great. They're so much fun. You get to, build great relationships with people, and I've met like so many great superstars and up and coming stars, and some of my wrestling kids on the road. So
I was going to say, good thing about like with her in our situation, she's a professional photographer as a job in itself, and obviously with me being a wrestler, she started picking up wrestling gigs and taking photos of different wrestlers and shows and stuff. So she's actually starting to get bookings as well outside of me and with me along the way. So it's definitely enabled us to be able to spend a lot more time together on the road and stuff as well.
Yeah, that's excellent. And yeah, I mean, your wife is who I met on, I think it was in a group or something, a podcasters group or something. She reached out to me and saw one of my posts. So yeah, you're as you're You say you're an agent now, Jay.
I am. I
So
am.
does that mean your in-ring career is over, or is it towards is it near?
So
Is it
here's
near?
so here's the unique story actually with me. So I've been wrestling. I've been wrestling since 2004. But several years ago, not several years ago, but a couple years ago, I got extremely sick. I had developed a condition that caused me to need a liver transplant. So I got extremely sick. So I wrestled all the way up through 2021. And then when I got to my sickest, I actually retired from in ring competition because I was dying and I needed a liver transplant. By the grace of God, I actually got my transplant on July 23rd of 2023. And it's been balls to the wall ever since my transplant. It's been nothing short of a miracle. I feel like the 20-year-old version of myself. And here recently, within the last couple months, I actually did step back into the ring for the first time. Actually, I have started wrestling again. So, but
Excellent.
that, and that's even though I am wrestling again, I'm still got my duties as an agent at LVW, and obviously that always comes first. So.
Yeah, obviously. So the agent job is your main job now, but you're not opposed to stepping back in the ring on occasion, or if the right situation.
Absolutely.
That's
Wrestlers joke about it all the time, but once it's in your blood, it's in your blood. You can't get away from it, which is ultimately what led me to back to OVW and helping, behind the scenes and stuff, because you just can't get rid of it. But
absolutely.
when I retired from the ring in 2021, I did it under the precedence that I was dying. There
Yeah,
was,
of course.
and I've always said, that if I can't give 110%, I wouldn't do it, and so I kept that word. And I struggled even now coming back, but I've talked to a lot of really important people in my life when it comes to my career, and people I respect a lot, and they all told me the same thing: "You've earned it. Take it. Get back." And so that's what's brought me back to it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an amazing story too. And as you said, praise God that you were able to get that, and that turned your life back around, and you're feeling, like you said, like you're young again, like you're
Yes,
back in
sir.
your 20s. That's great. Mrs JMo, I wanted to ask you. You talked about going on the road trips with him and stuff. Do you think is that important if you are the girlfriend or potential wife? Like if you're a girlfriend who's dating a male wrestler, or the other way around? Are those road trips important, do you think, for the relationship to succeed?
Um, yes, because if you're gonna support somebody with something, you gotta support them 100%. And like it's just a lot of fun. I have so much fun, and I've made some of the very best friends and family, going on those road trips and getting opportunities that I never would have gotten if I never went. It just kind of solidifies the relationship. If your man or significant other supports you at something, why not support them even if it's a wrestling or. I do think it's important in all aspects to support them 100% in everything.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that. And I think it's great that you go on road trips with them. That's got to be a really fun experience, if nothing
Okay.
else. Um, you said you're a photographer also, so that probably
Yes.
helps you. Being you probably started just in the crowd. Did you just start in the crowd, like as a fan, taking pictures and stuff, or
Yeah, so I actually, my niece's dad is a promoter in my hometown of Madison, and so I started as a fan young, and then I moved into concession stand girl, which is where I ultimately met him.
I got a thank for nachos. What can I say?
And then after we got together, I'd always loved photography, but being around the business, it helped me develop my business and my photography and where I'm at now. So it kind of just turned into me being a wrestling photographer. I didn't ever imagine being one, but I couldn't imagine being not one now.
Yeah, photographers are very underrated in the
Yes.
world today, and in sports especially. I think those shots that some photographers get at the right moments, they speak volumes. Just one shot. So I think photographers are very undervalued in all aspects, not just in wrestling. So I think that's great that you're a photographer. You should definitely share some of your pictures with us. We'd be happy to share them on Mayhem Media.
Absolutely, yeah.
As long as we're allowed. Always got to worry about copyrights and stuff, but
right. I do also have a website. It's
Oh.
goldenapesphotos.com.
Absolutely.
You can always look up my content there. If you have anybody that needs pictures done.
Yeah, absolutely. And make sure you message me that once we're finished with our podcast so that I can put it in the description of this video. So that way, if people are watching right now, go to the description of this video and you can find the link to her page right there.
I think when it comes to, you know, I think this is great. By the way, I think this is great that you're taking the time to even do a podcast when it comes to the supporting cast of wrestlers. There's a lot of sacrifice, as I stated before, that comes along with being with a wrestler. There is a lot of birthdays, a lot of holidays, and don't get me wrong. There was times early on in our relationship that she wasn't there fully around the business as much. And there was those times where I wasn't around because I was booked here, I was booked there. And it does create a divide inside of a relationship. And there's a lot of sacrifice. As a wrestler alone, there's a lot of sacrifice that this business takes to succeed, let alone having a supporting cast behind you. And that supporting cast usually does not get seen, does not get heard. And we wouldn't be the men we are today being able to do what we do without our supporting cast. So I think this is great in itself that you're even taking the time to do this. And I want to say thank you personally from a wrestler who's been doing this a long time for even being able to her to have this opportunity to do it. I got to take this phone call.
It's okay. Yeah, and I appreciate that very much, JMo. That's what we do with Mayhem Media. We do entertainment, but we want to cover all aspects of entertainment. We've had people say, "Why don't you just do one thing or the other? You do too much." I'm like, no, we do exactly what we're supposed to do. We offer a wide variety of content, and you can find something here and enjoy it. So. And this is great. This is unique. This is like, as your husband was just saying, this is something that doesn't get brought up a lot. We don't get to talk a lot of
Right.
the spouses of wrestlers or the kids of wrestlers very much. So you get to provide a unique perspective on the wrestling business. He was talking about some of the sacrifices, and since he's had to step off, from your point of view, then talk about how the difficulty with those birthdays and holidays when he couldn't come home when he's booked, and you said you had kids. Let's circle around to that now. Him missing kids' birthdays and stuff. Talk about that kind of difficulty.
So they're not our actual biological children, but as along the way in wrestling, there are what's called wrestling moms. And if you get the pleasure of being one, you support the kids, you take them on road trips, you feed them, you just support them 100% as much as you can. So I have, oh my gosh, I have a list of them, like Billy Starks, she's one of my wrestling kids.
Really?
Yeah, we were at Grindhouse with her when she first started. I love that child.
That's
With all
amazing.
my heart. Yes.
If anybody doesn't know who Billy Starks is potentially going to be one of the best female wrestlers anybody who's alive is likely to see. So, and I'm not just saying, I didn't know that Mrs. JMo knew her. This is my personal opinion of Billy Starks. I've seen a couple of her matches. She's in AEW now, I believe. Or Ring of Honor, not AEW. She's in Ring of Honor, right? Yeah. So, and I've seen a couple of her matches there. She's going to kill it. She's going to crush it. She is going to be usher in the next generation of women's wrestling. Yes. And I think she's going to, if you don't mind, let's talk about that. Since you brought up Billy Starks, I apologize. I don't mean to cut off where you were going to go after that, but women's wrestling has really come a long way.
Yes.
From where it started. Way back in the 50s and 60s and stuff, it was similar to men's wrestling, but then women's wrestling kind of dropped off. Then in the 90s, of course, we got a lot of some nonsense stuff in the female divisions. Okay, and I'm not happy about that personally, but we did get to see some stars emerge in the 90s.
Right.
People like Lita, Trish Stratus, and others. I'm a fan of Alundra Blaze, or Medusa, if you will. She kind of started what those women carried on, and now the women today. And I think women wrestling is almost even more entertaining. Some matches are more entertaining than the men's matches at this point.
Yes.
I always say I think women's wrestling is where men's wrestling was in the 90s, but today. Because
Right.
I think the 90s wrestling is we really got some innovative things happening, and that's really where it started taking off. And I think that's where we are now with women's wrestling.
I agree 100%. You know, these women out here are killing it. You know, that they're just putting their all out there, and you know, they just are reaching for the stars. So it's amazing to see, like, on the indie scenes, on, you know, another one of my wrestling kids is Alice Crowley, and she's absolutely doing wonderful. Um, there's also another one, Ethan Heyer. He's doing amazing from Grindhouse. I have so many of
What
them, and I love all of them.
what is Grindhouse? Talk about that.
So Grindhouse is it's here in Jeffersonville, and they run on Sundays. I believe it's once a month, and they are just like it's a training school for kids that want to be in wrestling, or anybody that wants to be in wrestling, really. And it just gives them a platform to, you know, kind of get their foot in the door and advance their careers and just have a really good time in wrestling. You know,
Do you do
Grindhouse Pro Wrestling is, you know, that's where Billy Stark started, was Grindhouse.
photography for them?
Every once in a while, yes, I do.
So they're just happen to be down the street from you, so you're not necessarily associated with them. They're just down the street from you, so you
Yeah.
enjoy going to see their shows.
No, we've been associated with them for a long, long time. Jesse, so
Okay.
Too Tough Tony is who runs Grindhouse, and Jesse's known him for a long, long time. I love Tough, so we go there quite a bit.
Okay, excellent. You know, if he happens to be tuning in right now, please reach out to us, and you know, we'd love to have you on and feature your Grindhouse promotion. I'm a businessman. I'm always selling and trying to make connections and networks. So that's what I do. So what else? From being the wife of a wrestler, can you provide us with a unique perspective on? Is there anything else that you can talk about?
I mean, I just love, even though, you know, the sacrifices that I have to make, I at the end of the day, it's all worth it. Like he said, when he retired, you know, there was just a void, not just for him, but for both of us. Like wrestling, our life, whether we love it or not, revolves around wrestling. Everything we do, um, you know, and we don't realize how much it does because that's just our normal, but everybody else from the outside in does. But honestly, you know, it's great. I love, you know, supporting the kids, doing the photography, everybody getting excited to see their pictures, watching the magic happen. Um, you know, seeing my husband's face when he walks through the curtain, whether the fans are cheering him or booing him, just the sparkle in his eye that he gets. Every moment that I don't spend with him, or that, you know, he misses those birthdays or those holidays, it just becomes worth it, because it's just so great to see it all come together. And every person that is involved in the wrestling world, whether it's, you know, photographers or wrestlers or the announcers, everybody is important, and everybody deserves some recognition for sure, because, you know, that's how the show works. Everybody is a working part in how the show works.
You're absolutely right about that. It takes many different parts to make a wrestling show actually work. Even the indies, even the independent shows, it takes so much to put on that show. People don't realize how much work it actually takes on to put on even a simple wrestling show. And I use the word simple not to degrade anybody or to as a misinformation, you know. But you think putting on a wrestling show, how hard could that be? Well, it is pretty difficult and it's pretty complex. So it's not just the easiest thing in the world to do. And the indie wrestlers, the indie companies out there, a lot of the indie promotions do, you know, use money out of their own pockets to put on some of these shows and stuff. So and there are good ones and there are bad ones, as there are with anything. So
Right.
Find yourself a good one and support it. Especially indie wrestling. Without indie wrestling, we don't get stars like Billy Starks. We don't get stars like that we see on TV, like Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. You know, we don't get those guys without indie wrestling. So it is very important.
Yeah.
Welcome back, JMo.
Thank you, sir. Sorry about that. I had an important phone call I had to take. So
Absolutely, I completely understand. you would be surprised how many. I'm not going to cut that. I'm going to leave that in there. But you'd be surprised some of the things that I've actually had to cut out of episodes because sometimes stuff happens. That's the way it is.
Well, as I stated, I'm an agent in OVW, and so like from Sunday night until Wednesday evening, we're constantly having to write TV and
That's
things
a
come up.
sacrifice.
Things come up with
his attention is
television, and then
somewhere
of course we
else.
have TV on Thursdays. So yeah, you're exactly right when it comes to when you talk about all that goes into putting on a show. People would be surprised at the amount of work that goes into putting on a weekly television product. It's a handful, that's for sure.
Yeah. I don't. There's obviously no comparison, but I say the same thing to new podcasters who are starting out. People start a podcast, they think it's going to be easy. Oh, I'll make an episode and everybody will love it, and then I'll be rich tomorrow because it'll have millions of views. And nope, that ain't the way it's going to work anymore. Everybody and their brother has a podcast. Everybody with a smartphone is now a content producer. You are not going to be an overnight success. Well, there's a chance you could be, but you should expect that. Right. Better be ready to grind it out.
Oh yeah.
And that's what we do here on Mayhem. And so I can relate to the weekly shows. I've had people want to put on weekly podcasts. And I'm like, yeah, let's do every other week.
Right.
See how you like that. And
hopefully every other week. Yeah.
Tell me about it. Yeah, tell me about it. We've had plenty of shows that we want to be putting on that, we have great ideas. Just it's a matter of manpower and being able to put it together.
Right.
So OVW, is there a place anybody can watch it? You said you put on a weekly shows, or where can people watch it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Ohio Valley Wrestling. They can watch it live if they're in the Louisville, Kentucky area. 4400 Shepherdsville Road every Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
On TV, YouTube. You can find us on YouTube, OVW.com.
Excellent. Thank goodness.
OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling Facebook page. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you about. Since we just brought that up, and they have their own YouTube channel. Do you think? Shouldn't every indie promotion have a YouTube channel?
Oh, 1000%.
Not having
the outreach you could get with it is far beyond. Our arena holds 500 people, but we can get an average of 10,000 people.
That's
weekly.
I think what a lot of promoters are thinking, that if they put the product on the internet, people won't come out and see them. They can just wait and watch it on the internet, and that's not, you're thinking the wrong way with that. You're not, you're that's, what I mean, that you're thinking the wrong way. You want to put your content out there to draw people in to come to see the live shows is what you want.
If you put on a good product, they will come.
Yeah. And I all the way from New York, China,
Las Vegas.
Like that's some crazy hot, like people love wrestling so much.
I know a wrestler always a salesman, Mrs JMo, as I said, so I apologize. But I know an indie wrestler from the United Kingdom. He's got cerebral palsy, and he's a professional. Well, he's training to be a professional wrestler. He's had a number of shows and stuff already. He came all the way out to the States for a show.
Okay.
So, and I was like, you're crazy, dude. You're crazy. I mean, he has a team member, Mayhem. Shout out Connor Clarkson. So got to give Connor Clarkson a shout out on this episode. Look him up on and book him for a show if you're interested. Anybody out there? Is there anything else that you guys wanted to discuss or talk about? I'm not trying to rush the exit. I don't have to go anywhere. We can talk for another hour if you'd like. I'd be happy to sit here and talk to y'all with another hour. I
mean, it's up to you. If you have questions or something you want to ask, I'll be glad to talk.
Books here, just wrestling. Like I said, wrestling is a large part of our life. Our vow renewal, because like he said, he was dying. We had our vow renewal early, and it was actually almost wrestling themed mostly. I got to stun Stone Cold Bear. Who's also from Grindhouse, but it's a lot of our lives that I don't realize.
Are you familiar with Ohio Valley Wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, to the extent that they used to serve WWE. as kind of a developmental promotion and stuff. And
Correct.
I've
That's
seen
where
some of their
John
product.
Cena and Batista and
Mhm.
and all Randy Orton, you name it, Cody Rhodes. It's where they've all been. That's where they all trained.
Yeah,
Al Snow is currently the owner of OVW. That's who I
really.
work directly for. Yes,
Yes.
sir. That's who
I
I
did
work
not know
directly
that.
for. Yeah, I work
Yep.
directly for Al
Yep,
Snow.
that's his boss.
That's my
That
boss.
is so awesome.
So I'm one of
Snow, we'd love to have you on the
agents.
show.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. When you weren't asking questions about it, I was like, let me see if he's even familiar. Because I
No,
figured
I'm
we'd be
not. Yeah,
talking
I mean,
about Al Snow and all the things, but you hadn't brought it up, so I just wanted to make sure we were
yeah,
on
no, I
the same
definitely didn't know that Al Snow was currently the owner of it. Yeah, that's really awesome. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, I loved him in the Toughen Up series when he was the coach in the Toughen Up series. I was like, this is Al Snow. He's a star on this show. Like, this is where he should be. He should be teaching wrestlers. He's clearly the smartest.
Oh, the smartest, hands down, the smartest mind in the business.
Agreed.
I've learned more under the Al Snow learning tree in the last 4 years than I did the first 17 years of my career. And I'm not shaming anybody that taught me along the way. Al Snow is just the
Yeah,
man.
no, that's like, I'm not even in the business, and I know that, Dusty Rhodes, Al Snow, that some of these guys are some of the best teachers, out there, just because they're not the biggest names or the
literally-
biggest stars.
You'll be struggling with an idea and trying to put something together, and he just spits it off like he's in his sleep, and it's like why didn't I think of that? That was so easy. You're exactly right. It's amazing that he's just a wealth of knowledge. And I'm not gonna blow any more smoke up his ass. He'll get mad at me for it, but he is amazing.
He's one
Well,
of the
that's
greats.
okay. I don't mind fanning. I don't mind fanning out a little bit too. I'm a big Al Snow fan. Like I said, I mean, I knew about Al Snow, but I did not know him until the Toughen Up series, the first season of the Toughen Up series. That's where I really got to learn who Al Snow really was. So
But
I became a fan.
Right now at OVW, we have Mick Foley there.
Yes.
Mick Foley's been there.
Yeah, I saw he just came in on a show. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be there this Thursday. Of course, I think you're airing this on Monday, so he'll be there this Thursday in television. So,
Oh, that's great. Okay. Yeah. So it'll be past when we're actually going to air this, but yeah, go check that out if you haven't seen it.
but I can't tell you said you're airing this on Monday, right?
Yeah.
February 8th, next Saturday. Tough Love at the arena. Dude Love is going to be there. It's going to be a great show. Any fans in the area, come check it out. You'll be able to buy the pay-per-view link on you can buy the pay-per-view link at ovtix.com if you can't make it locally, but it's going to be a great show.
Excellent. Great plug. I love that. And I will make sure that I will, if you can send me that information as well, I will make sure that it's also in the description of this video when we post it. I've noticed that when you try and, because I don't have any, visuals or links prepared to bring up on the screen, but I noticed that if you put it in the description and let people know that it's in the description, that it's just easier for them to just scroll right down, hit the link, and go to where they want to go.
Sure.
Yeah, talking about road trips, we took a road trip, was it last year, to Blizzard Brawl, with Josh Ashcraft to get bundles. One of my favorite all-time road trips. Josh Ashcraft is one of my favorite people in this entire world. We got to meet so many wonderful people, superstars that I never thought I would ever meet in my life. I got to be Matt Cardona's, I guess you would call me a secretary.
Yeah.
I was like helping him with his merch and stuff. Matt Cardona is one of my absolute favorites. And I also got to see, was it Trish? Trish Stratus,
Kelly.
Kelly.
Nice.
Slater.
Heath Slater. There was such a list. And it was just perfect.
Do you have a favorite wrestler?
My
Yeah, do you have a favorite wrestler, honey?
That was a loaded question.
And all my favorite
other than JMo. Let's go with that. Other than
my
JMo.
husband.
Number two, who's your second favorite wrestler?
So growing up, my favorite wrestler was ODB. Because I related to her more than I did like Kelly or Trish Stratus. I was a tomboy. I was more of like a thick girl, I got bullied for a lot of things in school. So she actually helped me with my confidence in being who I was. I actually got to meet her WrestleMania when it was in New Orleans. We just happened to wander in a building and there she was, and it was like, oh my gosh, I worked out so hard.
My wrestling
So-
contacts have gotten her the opportunity to meet some people.
Yeah,
And
there's-
we actually ended up getting to have some drinks with her, and they had a shot together and stuff.
It was
And
amazing.
was
She's
happy,
such
so-
amazing.
nice.
She was my
JMo, do
growing
you have a favorite?
So
Other
my
than your
all-time favorite Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Steve Austin, okay.
Steve
That's
Austin,
all right.
like,
Did you like him before he was Stone Cold Steve Austin?
of course not. When the glass broke, baby, that's what I thought. So,
All right. Well, hey, that's honest. My favorite wrestler was always Sting growing up. So I actually got to see him live one time at a house show in Hershey. So that was very awesome. I haven't gotten to meet him in person yet, and I know I got to try this year because this is going to be the last year he wears the face paint. And I did get to watch him in his last AEW match, and I got to see his WWE Hall of Fame acceptance speech where he said he was going to retire. You know, I through that whole thing, the only thing I was waiting for was for him to say the only thing about Sting, or I'm sorry, I said it all wrong already. The only thing about Sting, or I mean, I messed it up. You know what I'm saying? The only thing about Sting that's not, or the only thing for sure about. The only thing for sure about Sting is that nothing's for sure. Maybe I'll cut out that big mess up I just had. And I was waiting for that in his final speech when he did the Hall of Fame speech. And when he gave that, I knew he was actually retiring. And then when he came back in AEW, I was so happy because I know he retired because of injury. So, and I know he didn't get the kind of send off he deserved or he wanted from WWE. So it was so great to watch him come back and finish out his career the way he wanted to.
Yeah, and to touch off that's the main reason why I stepped back in the ring myself, because as I said before, I left my boots in the ring because I was dying, and I told myself I want to go out on my own terms. I want to go out on my own terms when I'm ready to tie them up. So that's the whole reason why I stepped back in the ring now myself. So
yeah, now let's talk about that for a minute. When you were having those problems before you had the liver transplant and stuff, when you had to retire. How difficult was that for you, Mrs. JMo?
So it was very difficult, you know, because I didn't, and it taught me a lot about myself these past 7 years. The sicker he got, it was hard because it felt like I was alone, but I wasn't alone. Like he was here, but he wasn't here. So, you know, just kind of struggling with that. And you know, I have a village, I do, but sometimes you don't want to let people know what's really going on. So, you know, just having to keep him alive and watching somebody that you love just waste away, it's very hard. And you know, wrestling kept it again, wrestling is a big part of our lives, and wrestling kept our
it was my escape from reality. Wrestling was always my escape from reality, always has been. And my ability to be able to do that kept my mind somewhere else besides the fact that I was dying. So once I left my boots in the ring and I realized I couldn't do it no more, all I had left to do was to sit around and die.
yeah.
And I literally came to the conclusion, because when you're on that side of a transplant and you have to have a transplant, and the odds of getting a transplant in today's America is it's just not good.
Yeah.
And you know, having to be put on a waiting list and hopefully your number comes up, and being on that side of things, I had literally come to the conclusion that I was going to die. There was nothing I can do about it. I was going to die, and that was my fate. And so it was, I know it had to be hard on her because it was hard on me to literally watch me die every single day. All the way up until, like we said, when I was able to, when I got to my sickest, I got to the point where I didn't know who I was. The toxins and stuff had filled up my brain, and I woke up and didn't even know who she was, didn't know who I was. I was literally just a shell of myself. Like I said, by the grace of God, I got my transplant, and here I am today. I'm thankful and grateful for every single day. I live by the motto of make today better than yesterday. And I truly mean that and I don't just say it, I truly mean it. I literally live every single day, and I live it to make today better than yesterday. Every step matters.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. That's an amazing story. And normally our sister show, the Boiling Point podcast is where we usually, that's where we talk about faith and that type of thing. But since we were kind of talking a little bit here, and I'd love to have you on that show too, and like really have a sit down with you and talk about that whole experience if you'd like sometime.
I would
But,
love. I would
yeah.
absolutely love to. I've had some conversations with a couple other people. I'd love to get my story out there. I definitely, because of the way I ended up in my journey and the way it happened, I don't want anyone else to have to live the way I lived, and I would love to get that story out there. So absolutely.
Excellent. Then let's once we're done with this, stay in the studio after the credits, and we can chat for another minute or two, and maybe set that up so we can have you on our sister show to like really talk about that like in depth, because that would be really great to talk about.
Well, the thing is, like, he got sick about a month after we got married. So we were newlyweds, and so we had plans, and then plans changed. So like our whole entire marriage has been revolved around him being sick and me keeping him alive, and that. So now that we're both healthy and we're taking ourselves back, we literally have to, it's like we're starting all over with learning how to love each other, learning who we are, as better versions of ourselves. So we're out here trying to kill it. We're out here taking life by the horns, and
Absolutely.
Just being that power couple that we started off to be.
Yeah. Now, did you know he was sick when you guys got married, or you found out after?
We didn't know I was sick.
We had no clue. He was
Yeah,
healthy. I mean,
that
there
had
was.
to be.
It
I
was
can't
just
even imagine that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get the opportunity. I'll sit down. We'll go. I'll tell you. We'll go through the whole story together.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Yes, I would absolutely love to get the full like sit down with you on the Boiling Point podcast. That's our sister show. Some people don't like that show because of some of our topics, and normally I don't talk about it much on Mayhem Media. But we've been encountering some resistance from people who like to talk about us behind our backs. So since we're encountering that, we're going to go right back at them and say, hey, guess what? The Boiling Point podcast is a sister show. If you don't like it, if you don't like what we say on that, and that prevents you from having a relationship with us here on Mayhem Media, that's on you, not on me.
Right.
But yes, definitely would love to have that. So let's not go too much into that. Let's save that for another episode. I'm a content producer, so anytime I can come up with more content, I'm always game for that.
Sure.
And of course, it's not just, I don't want you guys to think that's not, I mean, I'm a businessman, networking and all that stuff, but I do it because I want to, have a forum for people like you to get your stories out there and to get noticed by people, especially in the wrestling industry.
Yeah.
And we have her information, Mrs JMo's information for her photography and everything is listed in the description of this. Why don't you give everybody that one more time?
So my website is goldenaegesphotos.com, but you can also find me on Facebook, Golden Ages Photos LLC, or my sports page if you're more interested in seeing, all the cool action shots I get. That is One Touch Sports. You can see all your favorite wrestlers or favorite wrestlers you haven't seen before, but I'm mostly on the indie scenes. I do road shows for OVW every great once in a while. And that's really cool, but mostly I'm at Elite Wrestling Alliance in Frankfort, Kentucky, or I'm at Supreme in Madison, Indiana. It's very rarely anymore. I'm at Grindhouse, but I do Grindhouse. I think that's all my promotions right now. Yeah. Forever Pro's getting ready to start up. That's in Scottsburg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do you guys live, if I can ask that? Just tell me what state. I'm just curious on what state.
Indiana.
You guys live in Indiana. Okay, but you were just talking about Kentucky, Ohio, and so you guys literally, like you guys are really going around. Like you guys are, good. True entrepreneurs, real grinders.
Yes.
We're going to talk after we're going to talk more
baby.
Yeah, we're going to talk more after the credits. I think we can, I think we're of a similar build here. We should talk and see how we can collaborate a little bit more. Well, if there's anything else that you guys want to talk about, but otherwise I'm going to take us to the exit.
Okay. Yeah, just support your significant other 100%.
And go check out OVW.
Yes, for
Absolutely.
sure.
And also, if you haven't watched it already, we are on Netflix. The Wrestlers on Netflix. Check it out. It's a great show.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
See, I'm learning all kinds of stuff. I did not know this. I tried to do some
Yeah.
homework, but it's not like you guys are out there. It's not like there's a ton of information out there.
So on Netflix, The Wrestlers. It's out season 1, 7 episodes. Get out there, watch it. Let me know what you think.
Wow, absolutely. I'm definitely going to watch that, and we will even do an episode on Mayhem Media about that. So, and then maybe we'll have you back on for that when we talk about that. Then, yeah, excellent. Yeah, we'll see. We're already working. We're
You
already.
can see another one of my wrestling kids. Her name is Haley J. She's my stepdaughter. I love her so much. She's great.
Excellent. Okay, excellent. Yeah, this has been an excellent episode. This has been a fun episode, an excellent episode, an informative episode. And if we can continue to collaborate, a very business like episode as well.
Yes.
You can't ask for anything better than that. There is nothing better than that. You just watched the single greatest episode in Mayhem. So make sure you leave us a comment and tell us how great you also think it was. Please, no negative comments. We don't appreciate that. Of course, I'm just kidding. You can leave whatever you want. I don't care. Negative comments, I'm bulletproof. They bounce right off me. And they just go.
We're in the business. Nothing. You gotta have a tough skin here. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I knew that before I got into the podcasting. It was confirmed once I got into the podcasting, and it's confirmed every single day I get up and check my messages. So, without further ado, thank you, JMo and Mrs JMo. Make sure you go check out Ohio Valley Wrestling. They're on YouTube, and make sure you visit the description of this video. All of Mrs JMo's links are available there. And you can also visit, I also have the Ohio Valley Wrestling links there as well. And the Grindhouse, do I have that right? Grindhouse Wrestling links?
Grindhouse Pro Wrestling, yes.
Yep, I will also have them included in the links too. So go check out all of that stuff. And above all else, make sure you tell them that Mayhem Media sent you. For JMo and Mrs JMo, I am your host, JD, and this has been Mayhemtainment. And that's the end.